number 1 upon x is also positive real number clearly. Okay, for any positive real number x belongs to V, 1 upon x is also positive real number. So existence of additive inverse, for any x belongs to V there exists 1 upon x belongs to V such that x plus 1 upon x, that can be written as x into 1 upon x by the definition of addition which is already defined in the statement. So x plus 1 upon x, that is equal to x into 1 upon x, x will be cancelled out, so that is equal to 1. So that's why 1 upon x is our additive inverse. Okay, 1 upon x is our additive inverse for this vector space. So again I repeat that for any x belongs to V there exists 1 upon x is also belongs to V. Because of x is positive real number, 1 upon x is also positive real number. So 1 upon x belongs to V such that x plus 1 upon x, that can be written as x into 1 upon x, that is equal to 1. Okay, so that each and every conditions for addition we already satisfied. 5 conditions we satisfied for addition. Now next 5 conditions are for scalar multiplication. The first one, that is sixth condition, is closeness in scalar multiplication. For any alpha belongs to R and x belongs to V, alpha into x that is equal to x raised to alpha. Okay, that is also belongs to V. Because x is a positive real number, just try to understand very carefully why x raised to alpha belongs to V. Because x belongs to V, that means x is a positive real number. Now alpha is any real number, that can be negative or positive both. Okay, but because x is a positive real number and the degree of positive real number, it's anywhere, either it's positive or negative. X is positive, so x raised to alpha is always positive for any alpha belongs to R. Again I repeat that x is positive real number and alpha is any real number. So x raised to alpha is always positive real number because of x is a positive real number. Okay, so that's why x raised to alpha belongs to V. Okay, so that closeness in scalar multiplication is satisfied. Next one is for distributive law, that we have to prove that alpha into x plus y, that is equal to alpha into x plus alpha into y. So alpha into, let's start with the left hand part, that alpha into x plus y. Now x plus y, we use that addition, that x plus y is equal to x into y. So alpha into x plus y can be written as alpha into, in bracket, x into y. Now x into y is also a vector, belongs to V. X into y belongs to V and alpha belongs to R. So that's why we use the scalar multiplication, that x into y raised to alpha, in bracket x into y raised to alpha, that can be written as x raised to alpha into y raised to alpha, and that is equal to now x raised to alpha is a positive real number, so that is also belongs to V. Y raised to alpha is also positive real number, so that is also belongs to V. So for two vectors, multiplication of that two vector can be written as x raised to alpha plus y raised to alpha, using the definition of definition of addition in this vector space we define in the statement, right? So x raised to alpha plus y raised to alpha, and that can be written as alpha into x plus alpha into y. So just I repeat that each and every step there is behind some special reason. Okay, without reason we cannot write any step. So now we prove that alpha into x plus y, that is equal to alpha into x plus alpha into y. Now try to prove next condition, that alpha plus beta into x, that is equal to alpha into x plus beta into x. So alpha plus beta into x, that is equal to x raised to alpha plus beta. Because alpha and beta are real numbers, so alpha plus beta is also real numbers, any real numbers. X is a vector, belongs to V, so we use the definition of scalar multiplication, x raised to alpha plus beta into x, that is equal to x raised to alpha plus beta. Now that can be written as x raised to alpha into x raised to beta. Now x raised to alpha and x raised to beta are both are vector of belongs to V, vectors of V. So that's why we use alpha into x, that can be written as alpha into x dot beta into x, and now alpha x and beta x both are vectors of V, so alpha into x plus beta into x. Okay, So now we prove that alpha plus beta into x, that is equal to alpha into x plus beta into x. So next condition, in bracket alpha beta into x, that is equal to x raised to alpha beta, that is equal to x raised to alpha raised to beta, that is equal to beta into x raised to alpha, that is equal to beta into alpha x. Okay, so that ninth condition is also satisfied. And the last condition, that is 1 into x, 1 is any real number, x is a vector, so 1 into x can be written as x raised to 1, that is equal to x. So thus we all the 10 exams, we prove that all the 10 conditions for vector space here satisfied for this vector, for this space V. So that's why we can say that V is a vector space. Okay, we satisfied all the 5 conditions for addition and 5 conditions for scalar multiplication. So that's why this V is a vector space. Okay, so this question is complete now, and this question asked in 5 marks in this question paper, right? Next question, question 2a, second part. This question asked in 2 marks. Express px 7 plus 8x plus 9x square as a linear combination of p1 and p1, p2 and p3, where p1 is 2 plus x plus 4x square, p2 is 1 minus x plus 3x square, and p3 is equal to 2 plus x plus 5x square. Okay, and this question asked in 2 marks. You can see all the polynomials p, p1, p2 and p3, all the polynomials are in p3, in p2, that set of polynomial of 2 degree. Okay, the maximum degree of this polynomial is 2, right? So we express that p in linear combination of p1, p2 and p3. Try to check. So let px is equal to a p1. Let's start with px is equal to a p1 plus b p2 plus c p3. So left hand side is px, so that's why 7 plus 8x plus 9x square, that is equal to a into p1, so that is a into 2 plus x plus 4x square, plus b into p2, that is b into 1 minus x plus 3x square, plus c into p3, that is c into 2 plus x plus 5x square. Now in right hand side, left hand side is same, p 7 plus 8x plus 9x square, but in right hand side we write down that term in with this simplification, that first we write constant term, second we write the terms of x, and third we write the term of x square. Okay, so first one is the constant term, which is 2a plus b plus 2c. The second term is the coefficient of x into x, right, that is a minus b plus c into x, plus the coefficient of x square, that is 4a plus 3b plus 5c into x square. Comparing the coefficients of the like powers of x on both the side, we get 2a plus b plus 2c is equal to 7. Okay, comparing the constant term, the left hand side constant term is 7 and right hand side the constant term is 2a plus b plus 2c. So 2a plus b plus 2c is equal to 7. Now right hand side the coefficient of x is a minus b plus c, so a minus b plus c is equal to 8. The left hand side the coefficient of x square is 9 and right hand side that is 4a plus 3b plus 5c. So 4a plus 3b plus 5c is equal to 9, right? So now we will get these three equations, 2a plus b plus 2c is equal to 7, a minus b plus c is equal to 8 and 4a plus 3b plus 5c is equal to 9. Okay. Now to solve these three equations, now the aim is to find a, b and c. What is our aim? What is our target? To find a, b and c. So for that we have to use the matrix. Okay, because otherwise it's quite difficult to solve these three equations, but using the matrix we can find simply A, B and C very properly, right? So that's augmented matrix for these two equations is the above system in matrix form is, you can see first what is our first equations, 2a plus b plus 2c is equal to 7. So the first row is 2 1 2 7, that is coefficient of a, b, c and then constant term. What is our second equation? A minus b plus c is equal to 8. So the second row is 1 minus 1 1 8. What is our third equations? 4a plus 3b plus 5c is equal to 9. So which is our third row? 4 3 5 9. Okay, so now you can understand how we define this matrix, this augmented matrix. Now we convert this augmented matrix into row echelon form. Okay, now we convert this augmented matrix into row echelon form. So that's why we we take some row operations. Now what is our row echelon form? That you should know, that leading entry, first of all leading entry, for take in first row leading entry, non-zero element. Below that leading entry all the elements should be 0, right? Now then take second row, just check what is our leading entry. Below that leading entry all the elements should be 0. Okay, that is our first condition to be a row echelon form. Now what is our second condition? That leading entry is always going from left to right whenever we are going from above to below with row wise. Okay, whenever we are going from above to below, our leading entry should be from left to right, right? And the third condition is, if there is any zero row, it should be the bottom of the matrix. Okay, it should be the bottom of the matrix, right? So we try to convert this matrix into a row echelon form. So 2 1 2 7 1 minus 1 1 8 4 3 5 9. Now we interchanging first and second row. Okay, next process is R12, that is interchanging the first and second row. So the first row is now 1 minus 1 1 8 2 1 2 7 and 4 3. The third row is as it is 4 3 5 9. Okay, now what is our leading entry in first row? 1 is our leading entry is first row. Below that leading entry I want to make 0, so that's why we multiply first row with minus 2 and add into the second row. We multiply first row with minus 4 and add into the third row. Okay, so that's why that is our process, that R12 minus 2 and R13 minus 4. Okay, so the first row is as it is 1 minus 1 1 8. The second row become 2 minus 2, that is 0, 1 plus 2, that is 3. You can try to understand, okay, very easily with this simply row operations. I just speak 2 minus 2, that is 0, and 7 minus 16, that is minus 9. Then next process is we multiply first row with minus 4 and add into the third row. So that's why 4 minus 4 is 0, 3 plus 4, that is 7, 5 minus 4, that is 1, and 9 minus 8 into 3, that is 24. So 9 minus 20 8 into 4, that is 9 minus 32, that is 9 minus 32 is minus 23. Okay, now what is left? The first row we have leading entry 1, below that leading entry now we have 0. Take second row. What is our leading entry? That 3 is our leading entry, and below that leading entry we want to make that 0. Okay, so first we multiply, next process is we multiply second row with minus 7 by 3 and add into the third row. So that's why first and second row are as it is 1 minus 1 8, second row is as it is 0 3 0 minus 9, and third row become 0 0 1 minus 2. Okay, so now this last matrix is in row echelon form. You can see leading entry 1, below that leading entry all the elements are 0. In second row what is our leading entry? 3, below that leading entry is 0. In third row, what is our leading entry? 1. Below that there is no row, okay, and there is no 0 row, so you don't need to put in the bottom of the matrix. So the last matrix is in row echelon form. We have A minus B plus C is equal to 8. From that row echelon form matrix, A minus B plus C is equal to 8, 3B is equal to minus 9, and C is equal to minus 2. Okay, so now you can B is equal to minus 3, you will get B is equal to minus 3 and C is equal to minus 2. Put that 2 value in the first equation, you will get A is equal to 7. So P can be expressed as linear combination of P1, P2, P3. With this, Px is equal to 7 P1, A P1 plus B P2 plus C P3, where A is A, B and C is 7 minus 3 minus 2 respectively. So Px is equal to 7 P1 minus 3 P2 minus 2 P3. Okay, so this question is complete now. We will take 5 minutes short break. After the short break, we will continue this question paper. Okay, so let's see after short break.